Recipe test! I found this recipe online and I want to test it for a lot of different reasons. First of all, it is called one pan tortellini primavera. The most intriguing part of that is the one pan part. A lot of people may avoid cooking because you have to get usually quite a few things dirty just to get one meal prepped and made. So if we can do everything in one pan, then I want to see if that works. And then tortellini primavera, those are awfully fancy sounding words. Tortellini is just a pasta. You buy it pre-made. You buy all pasta pre-made. It comes in more of a fresh form than your typical dried pastas because it's not actually technically dried. It's a stuffed pasta, normally stuffed with cheese, at least that's what I see most often, and that's what I got today. This is cheese and pesto. But you can find it in most grocery stores. It wasn't even in the refrigerator section, it was over with all the rest of the pastas in that aisle. And a quick search on the internet shows me that primavera means pasta with lightly sauteed spring vegetables. It's winter, so technically not spring vegetables, but it's fresh vegetables nonetheless. This is supposedly a pasta dish that we can make using fresh vegetables, prepackaged tortellini, a can of pasta sauce. We put all of that in one pot, and it's supposed to be done in something like 20 minutes. Whatever, let's just jump right in. We have broccoli, which the recipe calls for, zucchini, which the recipe calls for, carrots. The store that I went to had multicolored carrots. This is not necessary. I just think they're fun, and my favorite color is purple, so if I can get a purple carrot, awesome. The two ingredients that the recipe did not call for are the mushrooms and the green bell pepper. I already know that I really like these in pasta, so I went ahead and got some just to put them in. Okay, we literally just put everything into the pot. So let's start with the mushrooms. I did wash all of my vegetables, except for the mushrooms. You don't need to wash mushrooms, and you shouldn't, because these guys are little sponges, and if you try to rinse them or soak them in water, they will absorb that water. And then as you're cooking, all of that water is gonna leak out into your food. So all you need to do with mushrooms is just take either a damp paper towel, dry paper towel, doesn't matter, and just brush the dirt off. There is probably gonna be a little bit of dirt left on the mushrooms because you can't get every little speck off. You probably ate dirt when you were a kid. It's fine. There's two main parts to mushrooms, just in case you haven't really cooked much and you haven't used these much. There's the stem and there's the cap. The stem tends to be really woody and it's a lot tougher. So when you're eating it like this, you don't really want the stem because it's gonna be too tough. The texture is not good. So we don't need the stem. So all you have to do is just break it off. I do know from experience that mushrooms do shrink a lot as they cook. So I'm gonna cut these a little bit thicker than the rest of the vegetables so that I don't end up with mushroom wisps. I want some actual mushroom texture. And you can see some of these are quite large, at least width-wise. So I'm gonna cut that in half down the middle so that it's just more reasonable to eat. Next, the zucchini. Ooh, cut the stem off. The rest of the zucchini is perfectly edible. I'm gonna cut this down the middle, and then so it's similar to the size of the mushrooms that I cut, I'm gonna cut it the other way. Be very careful, knives are sharp. Here's our pieces. Yeah. Okay, mushrooms and zucchini. Next, I'll do the bell pepper. Green peppers are tougher than mushrooms or than zucchini, so I'm gonna cut these pieces a little bit smaller since I already know they're gonna take a little bit longer to cook. Okay, and don't throw away the stem of your pepper because all of this, if we flip it around, you can see where that white part is. All of this is still perfectly good. So go ahead and cut around this white part and get the good stuff off so you actually get what you paid for. And green pepper. Oh, mushrooms. This green pepper was enormous, so you're not necessarily always gonna get this much, and this might actually be too much, but I really like green peppers, so I don't care. Next, the broccoli. I'll be honest, I don't eat broccoli that much. So, as far as I know, the best way to cut it is to cut the stem off. You really kind of have to hack your way in there. Oh, and then you end up with these big old chunks, and we can break these apart. And I don't think we're gonna need this whole head of broccoli because broccoli is pretty strong, both flavor and substance-wise. And I know I don't want broccoli pieces this big because that's huge. It's not easy to eat and it's a lot of broccoli for one bite. So I'm gonna continue to cut this down. And then you can break apart, well, you were supposed to be able to. Then you can break apart the broccoli florets. How cute is that name? florets. Anyway, they're just the smaller pieces of the broccoli. Ooh, and see, I exploded one. We don't want pieces that are this tiny because those won't cook at the same rate that these will, and then we'll get crunchy and mush, like I said before. That seems pretty good. There'll be some little pieces, but and oh, everything's gonna fall. Broccoli. Covered in peppers now. I am gonna leave it at a slightly smaller amount because I am not sure that I'll like this and I don't wanna put a bunch in there and potentially make the whole dish something that I don't wanna eat. So I'm gonna start small. Next is the carrots, which I will peel because they're kind of gnarly on the outside. Sometimes you can buy carrots at the store and they're not gnarly on the outside. These ones are. Yellow carrot, purple carrot. They don't taste any different. They're just different colors. Now to be totally honest, I don't know how big I should cut these. I don't really have a lot of experience cooking carrots. I am not a huge fan of cooked carrots. So, I don't know. Another hard part is that since they taper, I guess we'll separate the much larger part from the much smaller part. And really I'm just gonna have to guess because to not cook them ahead of everything else, I have no idea what sort of time they would take or how big they need to be to go into a one pot dish, so I'm just gonna guess. How's that? Sure. Maybe the big one, the larger end, we should cut in half? Well, that wasn't a very good half, but principle. Whoa! The purple carrot is yellow inside. I didn't even know that would look like that. That's awesome. Taste it. It tastes like a carrot. Is the yellow carrot special? No, it's just yellow all the way through. Whoa. Yellow carrot, you're special anyway. Oh my gosh, look how fancy that is. Fancy. Then the recipe says we need 1 cup of water, 2 cups of cheese stuffed tortellini, or cheese and pesto stuffed if that's all you could find. Tortellini! Okay, and 1 jar of pasta sauce. Whatever your favorite kind is. I picked garlic and herb because this just really call for garlic and everything needs garlic. Lovely H-E-B brand. It was like $1.90. Whole thing. And I'm going to try and break up this tortellini a little bit because it's all really stuck together from being stuffed in that package for who knows how long. Kind of spread the sauce out a little bit, get it all around there. It'll all also break up while it cooks, so not gonna work too hard at this point. Okay, and then it says to cook over medium heat for 20 minutes, stirring occasionally. And if that's all that takes, this is gonna be awesome. It doesn't say to keep the lid on it while it cooks, but that will help it heat up faster, so we can get food faster. Oh crap, you guys, I forgot an ingredient. So it calls for 2 teaspoons, no, it calls for 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. That's not clear. What's with recipes not being clear? So I have Herbs de Provence. I know that's not how you pronounce it, which is, let's see, savory fennel, thyme, rosemary, and lavender. I'm not sure if this is Italian or French. I think it might be French. Parsley flakes. You find parsley in Italian food everywhere, right? I have some oregano, tarragon, basil. I know that pesto is made mostly of basil, so we don't probably need any more basil. Oregano? Sure, that smells good. Parsley? Yeah. Tarragon? I don't think that smells quite right for this. No. Herbs de Provence. Pretty sure it's French, but it smells really good, so why not? Now, I don't think we're gonna put 2 tablespoons of a mixture of these in. That would be a ton of herbs, and I'm not particularly skilled in using herbs. Here's the thing with herbs and with spices and with cooking in general, is the more you use these things, the more you're gonna learn how to use them and in what quantity and when to use them. Kind of like putting on makeup or painting or working on a car or anything that involves craft or skill or anything like that. The more you work with something, the more you understand what it can do and how it works. So there was once a time when you didn't know how to put on eyeshadow, or you didn't know how to carve wood, or you didn't know how to cook chicken. I still don't really know how to cook chicken. I'm not that great at it. But that's kind of what we're doing here, is getting to that point where we understand what we're working with so we can do whatever we want with the ingredients that we have. For now, the best way to learn is just wing it and test. So I hope I don't wreck this one pot dish of pasta and veggies with herbs. So let's do some parsley. And I'm not doing full tablespoons because these all smell pretty strong. And I think if I did 2 tablespoons, if I did a teaspoon of any of these, I think it might be too much. Some oregano. Ooh, well, you know, just like that. Oregano. Herbs de Provence. Herbs de Provence. Sure, I hope that's not too much. And it's already starting to boil, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a stir like it says to occasionally do. And back to cooking. Okay, it's been 20 minutes or slightly longer. In the recipe's defense, it did say to cook the stuff for 20 minutes or until the pasta and the veggies are tender. So the pasta is definitely squishy now. So let's go probably for the carrots. They're definitely the crunchiest thing. So I think if those are done, it's a pretty clear indicator that everything else is done. Oh, I have burned my whole mouth. But I think those carrots are perfect. They're not mush like ends up half the time if I ever try and cook them in the oven. And they turn into like mashed potato level carrots, which are not great. But they're not hard. And I even took a bigger piece, one of the bigger ones that I cut. And the pasta's squishy. And the peppers are squishy. But still have crunch. So it's been like 25 minutes. And the whole thing's done. And all that, we added that whole cup of water. And even that's all gone. And now it's gone back to the sort of spaghetti sauce texture of the sauce. It's not runny. I was afraid that it would be runny. And I did cook it for most of the time. Well, maybe half and half. Lid on, lid off. It started to sort of stick to the bottom. If you ever cook with tomato paste or anything, you know how it sort of starts to stick to the bottom and burn. So I put the lid back on so the steam wouldn't escape, so it would keep more of the water in there. And then after about halfway, I took the lid off and just let it sit here and steam away so it didn't end up soupy. Okay, technically it's early in the day, so I'm not eating this now, but I'm gonna take it out of this pan. Otherwise, it'll sit here and keep cooking. This is awesome. I seriously can't believe that this recipe worked this well. I did not expect all of these vegetables to actually cook as evenly as they did, which is why it helps to cut them at least relatively even sizes, except for, like I said, the carrots, which I did cut a little bit smaller and ended up cooking perfectly. And the rest of the vegetables, like the squash and everything, is not mushy. So this worked incredibly well. And I totally recommend you go make this. The only thing that I would do now is when we serve it, the recipe says to put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top. There is no salt and pepper added to this recipe, so depending on your taste, you might want to add it when you make your own plate of food. But otherwise, that's it. So So total, even with talking into the camera, I think it took me like 15, 20 minutes to cut up all the vegetables, which, since you're probably not talking into a camera, would take you maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And this is also a recipe that you could easily make into a smaller amount if you don't have a pan this big, which I don't think a lot of people do, especially if maybe you're in an apartment or you're living on campus in college. You're gonna have pans that are much smaller, but you can easily downsize this by using smaller vegetables or using only half the vegetables and cooking some one night, cooking the rest the next night. Or if you do have a pan this big, cook it all. This is super easily reheatable and you can eat it for quite a few meals. All of these ingredients cost me just over $10 for the entire pot of food. And this could easily feed me for like 6 meals. So it'll easily feed a family or you multiple times. So definitely try making this. You can find the tortellini, you should be able to find it at most stores, even places like Walmart. Once again, I'll put the recipe down below. If you do make it, or if you have any questions or advice, leave a comment down below. Like this video if you enjoyed watching it, and make sure you subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time.